This documentary examines a real criminal investigation involving multiple suspected murders, unidentified victims, and unresolved questions. No graphic imagery is shown. Viewer discretion is advised. Behind this forest, behind a quiet Indiana home, investigators found human remains. Not one body, not two. Dozens of bones, scattered, buried, hidden, and the man believed responsible was already dead. No trial, no confession, no final answers. This is the story of Herbert Baumeister, a suspected serial killer who took the truth with him. In 1996, the investigation began not with a police search, but with a chilling discovery by Baumeister's own 15-year-old son. While exploring the 18-acre property, he found a human skull. When confronted, Herbert Baumeister dismissed it, claiming it was a leftover from his late father's medical practice. His wife, Julie, was not convinced. The discovery was the final straw in a troubled marriage, and she soon filed for divorce and a protective order. Only then did investigators begin to search the sprawling estate known as Fox Hollow Farm. What they found was a killing field. Forensic analysis confirmed the bones belonged to multiple people, adult males, many showing signs of violent death. The location was not random. The woods bordered a large rural property once owned by a businessman named Herbert Baumeister, a man with no criminal record, no known violence, and a carefully constructed suburban life. Herbert Baumeister didn't look like a monster. He was married, had children, owned a successful thrift store business. Neighbors described him as quiet, private, strange, but harmless. Yet behind closed doors, his behavior unsettled even those closest to him. He obsessively decorated his home with mannequins. He avoided social interaction. He lived a double life, one his family never fully understood, and investigators would later uncover another side entirely. During the 1980s and early 1990s, dozens of men disappeared across the Midwest. Many shared similar traits. Gay men, last seen in bars or clubs, often living transient or hidden lives. Rarely reported missing immediately. Years later, investigators noticed a pattern. Multiple witnesses described leaving bars with a quiet, wealthy man driving a luxury car. A man who invited them to a home in rural Indiana. That home belonged to Herbert Baumeister. A survivor eventually came forward. He described being invited to Baumeister's home, the drinks, the conversation, the trust, then the attack. He escaped before it was too late. When police searched Baumeister's property, they found disturbing signs. Restraint equipment, staging areas, evidence of violence never reported. But before charges could be filed, Baumeister vanished. In July 1996, Herbert Baumeister fled Indiana. His family believed he was on vacation. Police believed he was running. Days later, his car was found in a Canadian park. Inside nearby woods, authorities discovered his body. He had taken his own life. No arrest, no interrogation, no explanation. The case could have ended there, but the dead still had stories to tell. When police excavated Fox Hollow Farm, the true scale of the horror was revealed. They unearthed over 10,000 human bones and bone fragments. The remains were burnt, crushed, and scattered, making identification nearly impossible with the technology of the time. Investigators believed they belonged to at least 25 different men. By 1999, only 8 victims had been identified, primarily through dental records. Then, the investigation stalled. For decades, the unidentified remains sat in storage at the University of Indianapolis, their stories untold. But the story doesn't end in silence. In 2022, Hamilton County Coroner Jeff Jellison announced a renewed effort to identify the remaining victims. Armed with modern DNA science and genetic genealogy, his office began the painstaking process of re-examining every single bone fragment. The goal was simple: to give the victims their names back and bring closure to families who had waited decades for answers. The public was asked for help. Relatives of men who went missing in the Midwest between the mid-80s and mid-90s were urged to submit DNA samples. The effort quickly yielded results. In 2023, remains were identified as Manuel Resendez, who had been missing since 1993. In 2024, another victim, Jeffrey Jones, was identified from the fragments recovered decades earlier. With each new identification, a family receives a measure of peace, but the investigation grows more complex. As of today, investigators have identified 4 additional DNA profiles, bringing the total number of known victims to 12, but with thousands of bone fragments still to analyze. The true number of men who died at Fox Hollow Farm may never be fully known. The work continues, a quiet, determined effort to uncover the last secrets of Herbert Baumeister. With Baumeister dead, investigators focused on the woods behind his property. They recovered remains belonging to at least 11 confirmed victims. Experts believe the true number could be far higher. Many victims were never identified. Some remains showed signs of strangulation, others blunt force trauma, and due to time, weather, and decomposition, many answers were permanently lost. Families would never hear confessions. Victims would never testify. Justice was incomplete. Here's where the case becomes unsettling. Some witnesses reported more than one person present. Some timelines don't fully align. Some remains appeared relocated. Did Baumeister have accomplices? Or was he solely responsible, methodical, patient, and undetected for years? With the prime suspect dead, these questions remain officially unanswered. Herbert Baumeister was never convicted, yet the evidence left behind paints a chilling picture. A man who blended in, a predator who exploited invisibility, a killer who died before judgment. How many victims were never found? How many families still wait for answers? And how many similar crimes remain hidden, right now, behind ordinary homes? Because sometimes, the truth doesn't escape. It's buried. Subscribe Criminal Verse, where every crime hides a story.